So here's the hardware setup. We have the Raspberry Pi just mounted above the flywheel of the bike, and connected to this we have the Hall effect sensor, which is a kind of contactless button, which is activated by magnets, as you can see. So every time the flywheel does a full revolution, we're going to use this data to, along with the circumference of the tire or the flywheel, to figure out the speed, the distance traveled, and the revs per minute. Also connected to this is the Grove Pi fan, which I wrote a little script just to test. Yeah, she's working fine. Also connected to the Raspberry Pi is a 360 servo, which is going to control the resistance. Give a little tester here. Yeah, and that's that. This is the Raspberry Pi side of things. This is the main script. These are all testers just to see the fan was working and the servo was working. So it's all the imports and all the sensors connected up. The link to Firebase. The first method just sets up all the, or initializes all the GPIO pins. And these two methods together work to get the speed, the time elapsed, distance, and revs per minute. This is the first thread. To send data, gets the details and sends them up to Firebase. Second thread is get data, so this listens out for instructions regarding the fan. So if fan is on, set fan power or the GPIO to high. And again, this is for the servo motor. If the servo is down, then it sends a call to this script, which turns it 180 degrees to the right, which tightens it. And if I press up, then I'll turn the servo to the left, making it less resistant. That's pretty much it. Here's where we start the threads. I'll give it a quick run here. Yeah, so these aren't doing anything yet because the flywheel isn't spinning. I'll just give it a quick spin just to demonstrate. So I just gave the bike a quick spin there just to demonstrate the speed, distance, and revs per minute we're working. I'll stop that now. So here's the Android application I'm going to be using to pull all the data and display it to the user. Just in here. So it has a start button, which starts everything off. It starts the chronometer, which times the duration of the sprint. So once the distance gets to 5 kilometers, this will stop, and all the data will be sent up to Firebase. And here's where all the data is going to be displayed that we pulled down from Firebase. If we just start it now, you'll see the chronometer starts.
Hello Graham, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, beginning workout.
Another feature I obviously added was the text-to-speech, which talks all the way through the sprint. And every minute, after every minute, it'll give an update on the distance, the speed, and the revs per minute. And just the other features on the bike are the resistance. So one tap of this and the resistance will go down, or the 360 servo will spin 180 degrees to the left, which will loosen it, or this way, will go the opposite way. Here we have the fan. I'll show you now actually in Firebase. So fan on. So the Pi itself will pull this data in and turn the fan on. I'll turn it off now for a second, and we just have a look at this for a second. It should say something.
Your current distance is 0.0 kilometers. Your current speed is 0 kilometers per hour.
And does that every minute until the race is over. And we'll just test resistance as well. So resistance goes down, and then just goes back to null, and same it up. The whole idea is for this to get to 5 kilometers before your best time is, or your time is sent up to the thing, but you can obviously just finish at any time.
Workout complete. Great job, Graham. You are the best.
Thank you. I'll just run through the code as well. Here's all the references to Firebase that I'll be using. Stats, resistance, fans, results. And here's the text-to-speech object I've created, which will be used in most things. So I have an on-click listener for the up and down of the resistance, and same an on-click listener just for the fan to turn on and off. I used an on-data change event listener to listen for changes up in Firebase. If there's a change, it'll pull the data down. So here's the distance. So once we get to 5 kilometers, we call the stop spin, and in the stop spin is obviously where we send all the data. Same again on data change for speed. This just gets the latest speed from up in Firebase. The exact same for revs per minute, just gets the latest RPM data, pulls it down and displays it on the mobile app. And where are we there? Alright, that's the finish button. If you want to finish early, it just stops the spin, sets all the values back to their original. There's the start chronometer and the stop chronometer methods. And here's the actual start spin. So it waits for 3 seconds. There's a string it passes into the text thing. That's just a personalized one. It should be the user's name. Whenever they enter, it should be put there. But it sets the value. Initially back to 0 up in Firebase, and it sets the values on the UI back to 0 as well. There's the text to speech using that sentence. And here's the delay. So for so the delay is a minute. So every minute we just pass in the 3 different variables, and then it tells us back to us. And the stop spin is called, as I said, either with the button or when you reach 5k, and that stops the chronometer, resets all the stuff, and it pushes the results. It pushes the current time and the current date and your value. So I'll just show you real quick. So here's all the results, and so it says the time, your best time will be here, then what date you did it in. And obviously these aren't working right now. I'll wait till I demo it now in a bit. But that's her. So for the additional receiver, I'm just going to create a SQLite 3 database on my desktop using this script. As you can see, I'm going to store the distance, speed, and revs per minute. And then over here using Firebase, I'm going to pull the data down from Firebase and loop through, and then just store each value in the database. Then I have a little script here to print it as well. Let's give it a quick look. So this will get the data. And then it will print it off. Whenever the get bike data is running, it'll be constantly pulling data from Firebase every 5 seconds. Yeah, that's that.
Distance is 0.3 kilometer. Your current speed is 16 kilometer per hour.
Alright, just test out the fan now. And I'm going to put the resistance down. Do. Alright, usually when this gets to 5k, the whole thing stops and your time is sent up, but I'm knackered, so I'm just going to stop it now the manual way.
Workout complete. Great job, Brain. You are the best.
Thank you. And that's that.